Hey folks, my name is Jen, and I went book shopping again. So welcome back to my continued lack of self-control. Here we go. So recently, in fact, just this past week, my best friend and I and her mom decided, hey, let's go visit the book barn in Niantic again because they're having a sale. So we did indeed go this weekend to check out their sale. It was crowded, but it was still really good, a lot of fun. We only went to the main location, the main barn, which has like the different kiosks and buildings and stuff like that. We did not go to the other two locations because we were like, we needed to control ourselves this time. So yeah, we had fun doing that, and then we ended up grabbing food at Mystic Pizza again. Because I guess that's our ritual now. We're already planning another visit in like the winter. Because, yeah. Anyway, I gave myself a book limit this time. I told myself that I was only allowed to get 10 books, and I did in fact only get 10 books, so there's some stickers on these books. I still gotta like take them off. But one of the books that I grabbed, actually I think this is one of the last ones I grabbed. It was The Prince and the Pauper by Mark Twain. I have read only a couple of Mark Twain books before, the typical ones, you know, Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn. And I do have a collection of his short stories, but I saw, yeah, that this copy was in the $1 section, and I snatched it up because I've never read this before, but the Mickey Mouse movie version, like I watched that obsessively as a kid, so I know it's a story I enjoy. Speaking of classics, I was looking for some Dumas and some Dickens. Now, the only Dumas that I could find was The Man in the Iron Mask, but I didn't want to grab that one yet, just because I'm looking for a specific translation. Basically, I'm looking for the same translator who did the Three Musketeers version that I read, and so I didn't pick up the ones that they had. But I was a little more lucky in Dickens. They had a beautiful Dickens set. I'll show you a picture of that. It was gorgeous. I could not talk myself into buying like a whole set, but I did finally decide on grabbing Our Mutual Friend. This one, I just kind of glanced through Goodreads as to see what one sounded the best, or like the one that I would most enjoy to pick up next, and this one was the one. So basically, I'll just read the back of these. Following his father's death, John Harmon returns to London to claim his inheritance and finds he is eligible only if he marries Bella Wilfer. To observe her character, he assumes another identity and secures work with her father's foreman, Mr. Boffin, who is also her guardian. Disguise and concealment play an important role in novel, and individual identity is examined within the wider setting of London life. So, yeah, shenanigans. Very interesting. Apparently this is like a study on like wealth and how money and greed like changes people. They had a pretty nice like Amy Tan selection as well, but I actually owned most of what was over there. But then I saw this one. It is The Opposite of Fate, and this is Memories of a Writing Life. So this is like her memoir, basically. And I love Amy Tan's books, so I love the fact that this is, yeah, it's basically her memoir, and I think it focuses mostly on like her writing life, but very, very happy to get that. Then this one, I think this is one that I wanted to get last year. I think it came out last year, maybe the year before. So I was pretty excited to find it, and it is Her Majesty's Coven, and this is by Juno Dawson. At the dawn of their adolescence, on the eve of summer solstice, 4 young girls, Helena, Leonie, Niam, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. I know it's an Irish name. Naim. I'll figure that out. And L. took the oath to join Her Majesty's Royal Coven, established by Queen Elizabeth I as a covert government department. Now, decades later, the witch community is still reeling from a civil war, and Helena is the reigning high priestess of the organization, yet Helena is the only one of her friend group still enmeshed in the stale bureaucracy of Her Majesty's Royal Coven. Elle is trying to pretend she's a normal housewife. Niamh has become a country vet, using her powers to heal sick animals. In what Helena perceives as the deepest betrayal, Leonie has defected to start her own more inclusive and intersectional coven diaspora. And now Helena has a bigger problem. A young warlock of extraordinary capabilities has been captured by authorities and seems to threaten the very existence of Her Majesty's Royal Coven. With conflicting beliefs over the best course of action, the four friends must decide where their loyalties lie with preserving tradition or doing what's right. So, sounds great. So then I grabbed Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer. I know I've heard like mixed things about his writing, but this is one book that I haven't read it, but I've seen like quotes from it before, and they always just resonate a little bit, and they always just stick with me a little bit. So I've been wanting to pick this up, and knowing what it's about, I also wanted to really read it. So this is about 9-year-old Oscar embarking on an urgent secret mission that will take him through the 5 boroughs of New York. His goal is to find the lock that matches a mysterious key that belonged to his father, who died in the World Trade Center on the morning of September 11th. The seemingly impossible task will bring Oscar into contact with survivors of all sorts, an exhilarating, affecting, hilarious, and healing journey. This is going to be a major cry machine, I know that, but desperately want to read it. Then I got The Goggin and the Boy by Lloyd Alexander. This is one that I had not heard about. Like, I know about Time Cat, I have a copy of that. And I know about like the rest of his like Vesper Holly books and stuff like that. But this is one I hadn't heard of. Give me the boy. These words have the ring of death sentence to 11-year-old David, as elderly, tough-minded Aunt Annie says them. He's recovering from an illness so serious he almost died. But now he's basically with this woman. A monster snake-haired Gorgon is his tutor. In no time he changes his name about the Goggin. He's always been a dreamer, making up and losing himself in imaginary adventures, and soon she begins to co-star in his fantasies. So it's like, as you can see, there's all kinds of fictional characters in here. It sounds like it's going to be kind of a cute story. And then I grabbed Anything Can Happen in Vermont, which is basically following a family who's from like New Jersey who ends up moving to Vermont and going over like just little anecdotal stories about their time living there, which I kind of collect books about Vermont and set in Vermont, so. This is a trilogy by Isabel Allende. So the first book is called City of the Beasts, and let me read you what this is about. 15-year-old Alexander Cold has the chance to take the trip of a lifetime. Parting from his family and ill mother, Alexander joins his fearless grandmother, a magazine reporter for International Geographic, on an expedition to the dangerous remote world of the Amazon. Their mission, along with others on their team, including a celebrated anthropologist, local guide, and his young daughter Nadia, and a doctor, is to document the legendary Yeti of the Amazon known as the Beast. Under the dense canopy of the jungle, Alexander is amazed to discover much more he could have imagined about the hidden worlds of the rainforest. Drawing on the strength of the jaguar, the totemic animal Alexander finds within himself, and the eagle, Nadia's spirit guide, both young people are led by the invisible people of the mist on a thrilling and unforgettable journey to the ultimate discovery. This is like basically an adventurous like fantasy novel. It's like a magical realism novel. I read this, when did this come out? I remember reading this when I was younger. Let's see, 2002. So I was in like junior high, I think. So basically, I read this book. I checked it out of the library a couple of times. Absolutely adored it. Was obsessed. but then I don't think the other books had come out yet, and by the time I think that the second book came out, I had already moved on to reading like vampire romance novels and shit like that. So I had like, I wasn't into this anymore, basically. It wasn't high up on my priority list. And I totally forgot the title. And actually, of several years ago, I couldn't remember what the full title was, but I knew it was City of Something, and I actually picked up City of Bones because I thought for a second, was this the book that I read? And I was like, no, this is definitely not the book that I read. I think about it every so often because I know Isabella Allende is like an author where I've read a few of her books and most of them I enjoy, but there's been like a couple that I haven't liked as much, but honestly I don't think it's any fault of her own. I think it has to do with the translation. I read a really bad translation of one of her books and it was just insufferable, but most of her others are like really beautiful. So like I said, I will occasionally, this will come across my mind, but I just don't usually think about it all the time. So then in the YA section, I saw all three of them sitting right there. So normally I don't grab an entire that's a lie, because sometimes I do grab an entire series, but most of the time I don't, just in case. But because of how much I remember how much I like loved book one, I just said, fuck it, I'll get the trilogy. So yeah, it's City of Beasts. Kingdom of the Golden Dragon is book 2, and then book 3 is Forest of the Pygmies. Honestly, I think it's kind of weird, or maybe a little unsettling, that these first two are quite thick, and book 3 is quite thin. But then again, maybe shouldn't have a lot to wrap up in the last book. I don't know. But anyway, I'm pretty excited about these because I think this is going to be a fun read. I'm weird about fantasy. Oftentimes I feel in the mood for it in like the winter time. So even though this is like in like a jungle or something and it feels like maybe that's more of a summer read and I can try to save it for the summer, I don't know, I might try picking these up in the winter. That was everything that I grabbed. Very successful trip, and I am honestly pretty proud of myself that I managed to stay in my goal of only getting 10 books, and it was tight. Like this trilogy, that was 7, 8, and 9, and I was like, do I really want to pick up the whole trilogy? Maybe I could get more books. And I was like, no, I do want to get the whole trilogy, because when am I going to find such three perfect copies of the hardcovers in good condition for this price? There's no guarantee that I will find book 2 and 3 otherwise, so I grabbed them. This was fairly successful. Here was my little haul. Hopefully I will intersperse or have interspersed little images of the place. It's wicked cool. It is the Book Barn in Niantic, Connecticut. They also have bookstore cats, and we actually saw one this time, and I got to pet him or her a little bit, and it was a cute little tabby cat, and she's really cute. But yeah, anyway, it's a pretty cool place. Plays are pretty nice. And yeah, it is chock full of books to the point it's almost kind of overwhelming because there's so many books. And there's a couple of sections that are like not really that organized, so that also can be a little bit overwhelming, but it also just means that it feels kind of like a scavenger hunt or like a little treasure hunt where you're like searching for like really cool things, and there's a lot of interesting stuff there too, because like you'll find mass market paperbacks and hardcovers and then random vintage copies of things, but then all of a sudden there'll be like an antique leather-bound classic or just really interesting books. And they also have a section of signed books, and they also have books behind glass, which I think are earlier first editions possibly. But yeah, overall, great time, successful day out, and yeah, I'm proud of myself for saying I have a limit and I actually stuck with it, so that's good. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these, if there's any of these that you think I should put higher on my priority list or not. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for always watching. If you're new here and would like to consider subscribing, please do so. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.